Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys Night Lab. I'm Jesus Velasquez.
And I'm Jordan Zacharias.
And I hope you guys are having a happy Halloween time. It's October. Woohoo! And I'm super excited because everything in October is Halloween.
Heck
and
yes.
I love it because it gets a little colder. We're from San Diego, California, so it's not always cold here, but October, sometimes it gets a little cold and eerie and stuff like that.
Usually there's just a lot of fires.
Yeah, and so that's like that. The
I guess that's scary.
Yeah, definitely. The fire smoke is like our clouds and overcast. But,
yeah, exactly.
But luckily we don't have any fires right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about a little movie. Actually, one of my favorite movies, and it's kind of funny because it's a horror movie. But it's not like a horror movie. But
no, it's not an in-your-face horror movie.
Yeah, it's still definitely like a Halloween horror movie, but you could still watch it throughout the year. And it's one of my favorite movies.
I would probably classify it, I don't know about you, I would probably classify it more as a thriller.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a thriller for sure, but you could definitely watch it during Halloween and get like that Halloween feel. And so anyways, the movie we're talking about is called The Hitcher.
The Hitcher.
And it's with Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. And
1986.
So we always joke around about this because I saw this movie when I was like 8 or 9.
What? You see a really horrible rated R movie?
If you're new to Guys Night Lab, then you're like, what? But if you're not, you know the story. I watched movies when I was a kid. Friday Night Fright Night on KTTY channel 69. 69, dude. And so, but anyways. So I watched a lot of scary movies when I was a kid, but so I introduced The Hitcher to Jordan about like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We watched it at the Jungle. So
instantly became a classic for me.
Why don't you give a little
first impressions?
Yes, first impressions of the movie.
So Rutger Hauer is one of my favorites between Lady Hawk, Blade Runner, Split Second. Oh, who can forget Split Second?
Blind Fury.
He's Blind Fury. But yeah, so he has so many good movies. He's actually naturally a really good actor, but he kind of picks some kind of cheesy roles though, which is interesting. He kind of picks some interesting roles, but this I would say is maybe his best next to Blade Runner. I mean, Blade Runner is his all-time best, but for a thriller horror movie, he can shoot a look in this movie that is so disturbing and creepy. And I remember the scene that left the biggest impression the first time I saw it is where C. Thomas Howell's character is on the road. He doesn't know what's going on. He picks up this guy that turns out to be really creepy. And he's driving further down the road. I won't spoil the whole movie, but eventually he gets picked up by another family. And C. Thomas Howell is trying to warn the family that they picked up someone bad. And later on in the film, unfortunately, down the road, you don't see anything, but you catch a dripping amount of blood of the aftermath of what happened in the car. So it's just one of those things where it shocked me with how brutal it was without actually showing anything.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I saw that movie when I was 8. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's brutal.
There was a family in that car. And you're just like, what?
Yeah, mom, dad, 2 kids.
Oh, goodness, yeah. And so it was, but what I love about the idea is like, instead of like, even seeing like the gore in it, which actually, if you think about it, like there's some gore in the movie, but not like
there's not a lot of gore in the movie.
But like you know the idea of how dramatic and traumatic that scene is because C. Thomas Howell looks at it, you see just a little blood, and then he goes back and just starts throwing up, and so you're like, that was not good. Like that was bad. Yeah. What I love about this, and it
was a very head in the box 7 moment.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, what's in the box?
What's in the car?
Yeah, and so I just feel like I know people like Rutger Hauer and Blade Runner, but I feel his magnum opus is The Hitcher.
Are you sure it's not Hobo with a Shotgun?
Yeah, maybe second place, but the one thing we talked about this too is that The Hitcher, man, it just gets right to it.
It's relentless. It's a relentless movie.
It's like it's 137 minutes, but literally like 125 of those minutes, if not 130, it's like you're on it, like go to. Like it's just a cat and mouse game, and it's Rutger Hauer. Like you don't really understand why he's doing it. But you don't need to. Like throughout the whole movie, you're like, okay, like he's just you kind of understand. But
I was thinking that too. Modern movies, if they actually they did remake this, I never saw the remake. But if it was made today, though, they would over-explain everything and they would give his backstory,
the
and
psychology,
whatever else.
The origin,
and it's like no, he's a creepy killer that's just on the roads and he's just offing people, and it's Rutger Hauer. I like Sue said, at some of his finest. It's great.
Well, I mean, he's playing. I mean, Rutger Hauer's. I mean. He's one of those, or he passed away, but He was a great actor.
Yeah.
But this is one of those characters that it's like he doesn't have a lot of lines in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's not a lot of lines. A lot of the movie is body language.
Yep.
And visuals, facial features, facial expressions.
Menacing doesn't begin to cut it. To describe
just,
him in it. He's terrifying.
If you've ever been in a situation, just a normal situation where there's like someone crazy, and whether, like, not to say that all homeless people are crazy, but just anyone. It doesn't have to be a homeless person, but anyone where that they approach you and like, yeah, something's off, or they're kind of giving, if you've ever been in that situation, like that's the feeling you get with Rutger Hauer to like the 10th degree, because he is actually crazy in this movie and a serial killer. He's a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, like, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm sure it came out in '86, so if you're horror fans, I'm sure you've seen it. But if this one slipped through the cracks,
watch it this Halloween.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you because it's a great movie and it's insane.
It kind of reminded me of like we talked about a couple years back with Night of the Creeps, how that's kind of made its way up higher in our list. But especially for me, I was like, man, that became like an instant classic for me. That was the same with The Hitcher for me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And Night of the Creeps, that's another one I told you about, right? Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Well, and I think some of these movies, like, the true horror fans, like maybe people that are watching this channel, that they know this movie. It's like, oh, but then sometimes it slips through the cracks. Like, oh, I've never heard of The Hitcher, or I only knew of the remake. It's like, yeah, but it's a great movie. It's it gets intense, but it's like 80s intense. So it's like I said, some gore, but not excessive crazy gore. Amazing acting by C. Thomas Howell and Rutger Hauer. It's pretty much them two are the stars, and then is it Jennifer Jason Leigh? She's in it.
Yeah, Jennifer Jason Leigh.
But that's pretty much it. Everyone else is kind of like just the second bidding. Like they don't really have any other mainstream actors. But that's it. The story is just Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell, cat and mouse, the whole way.
Yeah, and Rutger Hauer steals the show.
Oh,
so
for
it's anytime he's on screen, you're smiling because you're like, this guy is so amazing in this.
So anyways, this Halloween, check out The Hitcher. You will not be disappointed, right? Okay, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.